here tonight for their steadfast support of this bill. Thank you, Congressmember Tlaib, and I yield back.
Thank you. As one of its first acts, this White House decided to ban Muslims from entering the United States by issuing an executive order prohibiting the entry of nationals of certain Muslim-majority countries. The people that this administration banned are not all the same. They represent a diverse array of countries and cultures, including Arab communities, Black communities, Southeast Asian communities, among so many others. All around our nation, especially in Michigan's 13 districts strong, we understand just how dangerous this administration's racist Muslim ban is for our families. The Muslim ban fuels anti-Muslim violence and discrimination. It promotes the dangerous myth that Muslims are inherently foreign, violent, and pose a threat to the United States. The Muslim ban also harms children. In the 2 years since it went into effect, countless families have been needlessly separated. People have been denied access to life-saving medical treatments. Children have been denied their parents, access to their grandparents, and have been missing, family members have missed births, deaths, weddings, and funerals for loved ones. I rise today to say that Muslims and Muslim Americans are our friends, our neighbors, and our family members. And yes, they are also members of Congress. This White House might not like the fact that fact very much, because the racist Muslim ban represents the federal government's endorsement of an anti-Muslim discrimination culture. The policy endorses a fear-mongering campaign that only serves to dehumanize and divide. And it leads us to question if this White House has any plans for our country that are not centered on hate or greed. I am extremely troubled that this federally sanctioned discrimination has contributed to a significant spike in hate crimes against American Muslims and attacks on mosques in Muslim communities all across the country. That's why, as members of Congress, we must put an end to discrimination by passing the No Ban Act. We have over 200 members of Congress who support and co-sponsor this No Ban Act. As introduced, the No Ban Act would immediately rescind the Muslim ban and stop discriminatory orders and abuses of authority by this administration, thanks to the leadership of Congresswoman Judy Chu. By ending the Muslim ban, the No Ban Act will also get us close to ending this extreme number of increases of religious discrimination within our immigration system now. The bill will amend the Immigration and Nationality Act, INA, to prohibit discrimination on basis of religion and ensure that no president will ever again be able to ban an entire community without accountability. I urge my colleagues in the House leadership to bring the No Ban Act to the floor as soon as possible, because our communities cannot wait. Minority communities across our country and indeed the international community are eager for action that repeals the Muslim ban. As someone that is raising 2 Muslim boys in our country, I can tell you they struggle now, even sharing about their faith, and even worried about the rhetoric that they hear from various folks in school, but also just in passing, not only through social media, but through different kinds of conversations that they are hearing, where they talk about not only folks that are of a Muslim faith, but folks for various immigrant communities, and with their father being 2 sons of a father who is also an immigrant, they now really struggle very much in feeling that they can be open. And 9 years old, my son, who's now 14, remembers me. I remember speaking to his father about a terrible ad that was, or cartoon that was put in USA Today, where it depicted Muslims in a certain way that would evoke violence towards Muslim Americans. And I remember talking to his father at that moment and just kind of whispering to him, like, this is terrible. I can't believe they're doing this. This is just going to invoke people to really hate and even want to kill Muslims. And my son, who came into the room, to the bedroom, said, "Don't worry, Mama. If anybody asks if I'm Muslim, I will tell them that I'm not." That's the kind of culture that we create by allowing these kinds of discriminatory policies to be placed, and for us to allow it to be codified through executive orders and allow it to go without any action. You know, I ran a campaign to take on hate, which really started in Michigan, but was implemented throughout the country in about 12 communities. And one of the things that young people understand is, you got to take on hate with action. And you can't sit idly back because people just thought, well, this doesn't impact me. But really trying to understand that it does connect all of us, because this form of othering and the culture that you see within the administration is real and it's dangerous. And sitting idly by and not doing anything about it, to me, will increase that form of hate towards people of different faiths. And trust me, it's not just about Muslims. It's about other kinds of different faiths, people of different ethnic backgrounds. This, in essence, is creating this kind of hate culture that we can't see not only in our American society, but it's also festering within our school culture and with our young people, again, questioning constantly with identity and allowing kind of to normalize this form of othering through acts like this executive order. When you hear Muslim leaders and those talk about the separation that happens. I remember at Bridging Communities in Southwest Detroit, we had a press conference with Congresswoman Debbie Dingell fighting back against the separation of families. And it was all stemmed around, well, I didn't understand, there's supposed to have been a waiver. Well, you all should know, many of the people that we represent that were coming to our offices were not granted waivers. And we're talking about people that are married, that have legal access through the immigration, but for the Muslim ban, are not able to reunify with their family members. I have 2 young children that can't see their father because of the Muslim ban. I have folks that had a green card, had access to the United States, but when this got implemented, because it was implemented in a way where there was no notice, no policy, no procedures, no structure in place for it to be for folks on the ground to understand what was going on. That's why we saw what we saw, the overwhelming call for action and people showing up for airports all across the country saying, no, not now, not never. And it's really important that we do it through action within the Congress. And I hope my colleagues understand this should be bipartisan support. This is religious discrimination. This is one of our core values as Americans. We're founded on religious freedom. And for us to allow, again, targeting of folks solely based on their faith, to me, repeats history. We've done it in the past, and it wasn't right then, and it isn't right now. And I think I could speak on behalf of Muslim Americans. They do not want to wait for an apology. Apology is not enough. They want action today. They know this is discriminatory. They know this is biased. They know this is targeting Muslims. And yes, it is leading to, again, increased hate crimes towards Muslims at a huge amount, percentages across the country. And so it is critical that we act, that we don't sit silently by, because doing nothing is not an option anymore. So I urge my House leadership to bring this No Ban Act forward to the floor as soon as possible. And I really commend the incredible leadership of many of our colleagues, especially my good colleague from Indiana, Congressman Andre Carson, who I lovingly call the Dean of the Muslim Caucus. But yes, we are your neighbors, we are your advocates, we are your doctors, your teachers and all those things, and also your members of Congress. And so again, it's really critically important that we push back against this No Ban Act. With that, I would love to recognize my good colleague, Congressman Carson.
Thank you, Congresswoman Rashida, for your leadership, for your